panelists. First is Tamsin Hobley, head of UK and Ireland at Six, and thank you for hosting us today. Wonderful venue. We also got Mary Agbesanwa. Yeah, thank you. Business Development Sales Director at Lloyds Bank, and you are heading the wealth management team.
Yes.
I understand. And Craig Butterworth is Chief Commercial Officer at Droit. Okay, the floor is yours. Thank
you very much.
Should we just introduce ourselves first? And then you have
Sure.
So basically, I have a couple of roles in the country head here, but I also head up our global partners and alliances group. I've had many sales roles through my career, sales, actually doing it myself, and then sales leadership. So I'm quite excited to tell you about sales today.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. Great to be at the inaugural Working Fintech Summit. My name is Mary Agbesanwa. I'm relatively new to sales. So I actually started my career in management consulting, then moved into a sales role in a startup, and now I'm in a sales role at a big bank. So my role is a business development director at Lloyds Banking Group, specifically within the wealth management division, building a new team, selling wealth management platform technology. So happy to talk to anyone who's interested in that kind of thing. But I really love sales. I think it has loads of applicable skills that we'll get talking about. But yeah, that's me.
Hi everyone, good to see you all. For those of you who didn't come to the RegTech session earlier, quick bit of background on me. So I'm the Chief Commercial Officer at Droit. I've been here for 3.5 years. Prior to that, so the first 20-something years of my career, I spent working for investment banks. So of those sort of 20-something years, 15 of them were in fixed income sales. So on a trading floor covering asset managers, pension funds, hedge funds, central banks, etc. Sort of last 5 or so years at the bank was in a COO role for a sales business, and then moved into a digital transformation role inside a bank. Kind of wanted that more entrepreneurial environment, so moved across to this side of the fence. Was effectively the CRO of a fintech unicorn called Symphony for a couple of years, and then I've been here for the last 3 years or so. So, kind of hopefully in a reasonably good position to give you some sense around some of the differences in sales between maybe different sectors and some of the challenges of working for a fintech, trying to sell into banks, having seen it from both sides of the fence.
Perfect. So I'm sure a lot of people coming to this sales session consider themselves to be an extrovert. So I think it's good to start off talking about the skills and the different skills needed to succeed in sales. Craig, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing when you think about the different skills for sales is to actually think that sales itself in fintech is actually quite a broad term, and there's quite a few different sort of sub roles that sit between that overall umbrella. So maybe just to spend a few minutes on that. So first of all, you've got the kind of maybe the type of sales that is the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of sales in this context. So these are people that are out there working for the firm, trying to secure new logos of new clients. So a lot of that is kind of lead origination. You know, they're sending out emails, they're trawling through LinkedIn, Sales Navigator to try and find leads into clients. So yeah, that's what a lot of people think of for sales. I think some of the sort of key skills for that particular sub role, you've got to be super sort of resilient and have real good perseverance, right? Because there's going to be a lot of outgoing calls where you don't get anything back or they're not really interested. You just need those few sort of golden nuggets where someone is interested, a few a week, right? To then feed into the sales funnel. But if you're the type of person that maybe doesn't like so much getting into the real detail of a particular product, but just sort of teeing up a first initial call, those are sometimes some of the better sales roles for you. At the other end of the spectrum, you then have more the kind of account managers. So these are more the farmers rather than the hunters, if that's the right way to put it. So where there are existing clients where you've already sold them a product, you have documentation in place, they should be systematically upselling those clients, selling them more and more products. So for instance, in my teams where I've worked, I give my account managers just as high a sales target to hit as the new logo hunters. They both have, whatever the number is, targets of equivalent size. So those people typically are maybe, obviously there's a common core, but they maybe also like to get more in detail, really spending time, a bit more consulting driven, like to become that sort of trusted partner of a client. So yeah, sort of subtle differences there depending on what your personality is and where you think your strengths are. The last thing just to say is, irrespective and across both of those roles, the type of firm you work at really changes the balance of them a little bit, because some fintech products are relatively mass market. They're kind of, you could land and expand, you maybe sell them per user per year. So they're cheap little bite-sized chunks. You get in, you can do lots of little sort of small deals, and then you just systematically upsell. Other end of the spectrum, like where I work right now, what we do is really a mission critical process for banks. Those sales cycles, as a result, could be anything from 6 months to sort of 2 years, something like that. But they're big, lumpy deals when you get them over the line. But as a result, quite a different sort of skill set, maybe, right? When you're working on one really lumpy deal for, say, 18 months, 2 years, versus maybe in a role where you're doing multiple sort of smaller deals per week. So great, though, when you're coming into it, because it means that you don't have to fit square peg in a round hole. You can think what's the right role for you.
I love what you said about resilience, breaking down the different types of roles. Tamsin, anything to add?
Yeah, I think, well, there are loads of roles. I mean, you have like pre-sales, you can have kind of like, I'm in partners. So actually we do a lot of business through partners, channels and alliances. It's still a sales role, but very kind of like long-term, it's about relationships. And I think when you look at the skills you need to go into sales, I think when I kind of like have a new salesperson join a team, the one thing I say to them is like, you need to become like a CEO of your own portfolio, your own book, treat it like your own business, and actually one of the things that, I think you need to have is to be really curious. People really matter in sales. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be an extrovert. Actually, listening skills is probably one of the biggest kind of like skills you have. I think it was mentioned on one of the sessions earlier where someone said, I think it was on the career session, where they said, you're thinking about your next question rather than actually listening. And I think a lot of salespeople do that. They're like, and as soon as something's said, that's like, oh, I can sell them this because they've just said that. Well, I'll actually listen a little bit more and learn a little bit more. So listening and being really curious and asking questions is really, really key. And then the other thing I think that has helped me be really successful is about my network. Building a trusted relationship with your customers, with your prospects, with your peers, with your competitors even, because people move around. They don't always stay in the same place. And I still have people, even though I'm not selling directly now, I've got people who do it for me. I still have people ring me up that I sold to 10, 15 years ago. Hey, Tamsin, I've got a problem. Could Six help me with this? So that's a really good thing that you need to learn. And actually, you need to build good relationships, and trust is really important. Never lie. Never try and say something, does this when it doesn't. Just be honest. Be really, really honest, because then you're going to build that trust. If you say, look, it just won't do that for you, it's not going to help you with that problem. And then the other thing I think is actually problem solving. Somebody has a problem and they need to buy something to sort that problem out. So you need to help understand what the problem is, and you're going to find that with all the sessions that you do later this afternoon. There's a problem, and then you can start thinking about, how can we solve that problem? How can we work with you, Mr. Customer? What have I got that can help you with that problem? So you need to understand people, put yourself in their shoes as well.
What about, it's a question like maybe people standing in the audience now thinking, what would that actually mean for me day to day, those roles? So maybe, Mary, do you want to spend a minute on sort of the day in the life of a salesperson?
Yes. So one reason why I love sales and also why I love consulting is that it's so varied. It's never, no day is the same. So for me, that as someone that gets, is passionate about multiple different things, energized by different things, that's something that keeps me in the industry. So my day might start off with checking my emails, seeing if clients have responded to what I've sent them, or they have any queries about our products. And then I usually spend mid-morning to the afternoon in client meetings. That might be virtually, because I'm actually based remotely from home, or in person. I think the best way to build relationships with clients is in person. So we'll meet them anywhere they want to meet across the UK, and have a conversation. And as Tamsin said, really utilising my emotional intelligence to read and assess the situation. Like, I have this skill now where in the first literally 5 minutes of a call or a meeting, I can understand, is this client going to buy from me? Because a lot of people might say the right things, but in terms of the actuality of whether they have the budget or the resources or even the social capital within their own organisation to make it happen, that's really key as well. So yeah, client meetings during the day, and then the end of the day might be internal meetings, or I spend a lot of time listening to industry podcasts, reading FT Advisor, reading the Financial Times, whatever it might be, because I think the best salespeople and also the best consultants are people who are extremely knowledgeable. Like I have clients, I have friends that are just always calling me up and saying, okay, I know if I need to know anything about wealth management, I can contact Mary and she will be able to give me a 5-minute summary about the key trends or the key people I should speak to. And I think becoming that SME within your area is so important.
I couldn't agree more. That is the thing that sets apart someone who's just like an okay salesperson versus someone who really builds that network for the long term. Like even if it's like, do you know what? I don't know if Craig's going to let me answer the question or not, or whether Droit can solve it off. Like, do you know what? He always gives me good advice and he tells me, and that credibility comes from your point, Tamsin, which is that you say, I don't know when you don't know.
Yeah.
But that is what makes you that trusted advisor, and that is where your real worth comes from if you want to be real.
And do your research, know their company, go and look at the company reports, you know, when I started sales, we didn't have internet. That's how long ago that was, you know. So I didn't have access to all of this amazing information that makes the job in sales so much easier than it was. You can access so much information. You've got LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a great platform, and I'm so pleased that some of you have sent requests to us. That's starting to build a network. That's how you do it, you know. But you can also see what people have done. You can see what they've posted about. You know, you can tell what they're interested in, you know, and it's a conversation. And sales is a conversation at the end of the day. So having that personal connection, but also understanding what they do in their role, what the company does, what the company's strategy is. Because sales is quite often very strategic. You know, going in there knowing the direction that the company is going to take can actually help you think about how you can position something that you've got that could help them take, you know, go in that direction. So I think that's really important.
Exactly.
And the day is so varied. There's a lot of admin in sales, and we're not good at admin, but that's kind of like part of the job. CRM system,
Yeah.
you know, that's your golden truths. Keeping an idea of your pipeline, managing your pipeline. I mean, I mentioned about sort of the CEO of your own business, like understanding what's going to close soon, what's going to close medium term, what's long term. Start to think your pipeline for the following year. You know, good salespeople are constantly feeding a funnel and working on deals at various different levels. There's lots of doors that you're juggling.
Yeah.
Which almost touched on an interesting debate about salesperson art versus science, which is actually an interview question I quite like to ask, even experienced salespeople. And there's no right or wrong answer to this, by the way, but my answer to it really actually is probably 50-50 blend of the two, to some degree, right? Because the science bit being the process, right, in terms of what you should do, being data driven with your CRM system and understanding connections and et cetera. But then the art bit is clearly the art of building relationships, being able to listen, et cetera, being a trusted advisor. So some people skew maybe one more than the other, but it's definitely a blend of the two.
So we'll take some questions maybe.
Yeah.
Anybody's got any questions?
So I'd like to ask, so what's the most interesting and challenging aspect of sales? And for the challenge part, how were you able to scale through? And for the interesting part, how were you able to sustain that level of achievement in your career as a salesperson?
I mean, for me, the most challenging things are things that happen that are outside of control. You know, so it could be market conditions, it could be a deal that is like about to sign, ink is about to go on paper, and the budget changes, or the strategic direction of the company you're selling to might change. Now, those are the challenging things. I think also, for me, the biggest skill, I think, is knowing when to walk away from a deal, knowing when it's not good business, knowing when you're being bullied and it's no longer a good relationship, a good partnership. I think that's a lesson that comes with experience, actually.
Yeah. And those kind of clients probably will end up being massive headaches for the account manager. So being kind to your colleagues in relation to that. I think for me, challenge is linked back to Craig's earlier point. I'm in kind of the enterprise long-term sales cycles. Yeah. So it takes 6 months to 2 years. And like Tamsin said, there can be so many external conditions that mean that deal might go ahead. So I need to balance all of my energy across multiple prospective deals. And being part of a corporate, I need to know how many sales I'm going to bring in 2027. I don't even know what will be happening in my life in 2027. So it's that kind of challenge. But I think that's also what I love about the role is like, I like a bit of pressure. I like that as well. I think another thing that I'll be honest that I really love about sales is the remuneration. I think having a commission element to your role is something that I'm driven by. I have a very entrepreneurial mindset and drive, and I don't plan to work till I'm 50. So I'm really keen on the commission element. I think that's something I really enjoy as well.
And I totally agree. You picked the sort of the challenges I would have picked. So almost to pick one of the good sides of it, like the opportunities from it. The lovely thing is, and actually the two, so actually I think Matt mentioned it on the first panel today, which is that whether you're in an official sales role or not, whether you're the CEO or whatever you're doing, if you're in a fintech, you're in a business and you're trying to grow, that means that you need to bring in, more revenue, i.e. sales, right? So even if you start off as a salesperson, then you can jump into all kinds of different roles. And so it's a skill set, whether it be in fintech or some other aspects of life. If you're good at selling, if you're good at building relationships, articulating value propositions, picking apart someone's pushback points, etc., that is a skill that's going to serve you really well in life in general.
Yeah, so many transferable skills from sales. I mean, I'm a country head now, so I have all the fiduciary responsibility, but I think also that you get people around you to help you do things, but there are so many skills that I've learned over the years in my different roles and different types of sales positions that have put me into that leadership position. And you can go into product, you can go into, kind of more commercial strategy, there's a lot of, roles, CROs, CEOs, there's a huge amount of skills that are built up in a sales role because it's people orientated, so it's I love sales. I also said, great job.
Thank you very much. It's amazing. Yeah. So we're going to continue networking. So let's give a round of applause.